Welcome to the Mind of Basketball Podcast, also known as M.O.B Podcast, NBA Playoffs Edition. I'm Evan.
I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast. We recap, break down, and analyze players and teams in the playoffs from previous games from the previous day. Oh, Ja. How are you doing this Monday?
I'm chilling. Regular.
I mean, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. Better than me. Way better than me. It was another
heart. Did somebody break your heart, Evan?
We'll talk about it. But another great day of basketball, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, this has been an absolute amazing start to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's only been game one. We've had no blowouts.
Yeah. Well, this is how playoff basketball is supposed to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is playoff basketball. You put it there. You put it right. Said all the words. I mean, and the crowd was out for today or for last night. All yesterday's games, the crowd was out.
Yeah.
I mean, the home crowd for each team was just bumping.
Yeah.
You could feel the atmosphere. Not only does it feel like the fans are finally back, it's not full capacity for these teams, but it felt like the fans are there and it felt like playoff basketball.
Exactly.
It definitely did in Madison Square Garden. So let's get into the Atlanta Hawks going to the Garden to battle the New York Knicks game one. And the Garden was bumping. Fans was there. But the Knicks got off to a very slow start.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they never played in front of the arena before. It's like it was just they were shocked. The Hawks got off to a slow start as well, but they kind of picked it up a little bit. But the Knicks, I mean, they were really struggling.
Yeah.
They were really struggling. The crowd was still bumping, still into it. Trae Young got some very nice chants from the Knicks crowd. Which later came back to haunt every single one of them. But the Knicks eventually got out and started getting into it because the Hawks, they couldn't really pull away as much as they wanted to. So maybe they was distracted as in the crowd too.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks finally got out and finally got hitting their shots. And that was due to the Knicks bench. The Knicks bench was big time. I mean, big time. I think they had like 60 points. The bench had 60 points for this Knicks team.
Yeah.
They were the main reason why the Knicks were in this game to begin with. Because the starters were cold. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into one of them in a minute. But Emmanuel quickly, rookie, it didn't even feel like, he was vibing. Yeah. He was vibing.
The fact that he did that in a playoff game was amazing. The way he was playing, like he played like as if like it didn't mean nothing to him. He's like, I'm used to this. Like I'm a vet.
Yeah, he was loving every second of it. Alec Burks, man, what a night. What a game for him. He stepped up. We mentioned these role players. They're big time. They're really big time. But you also got to need the stars. And then we go to Atlanta, Trae Young. Trae Young was great throughout the entire night.
Yeah.
Trae Young was great. John Collins. Also Kevin Huerter. He was big time for them as well. Bogdanovich, who was more later in the game. But this was a really entertaining game. Good defensive game, because both teams kind of struggled here and there in certain parts of the game. But then the third quarter hit and the Knicks really started to pull away. The RJ Barrett dunk.
Nah, it was beautiful.
That got everybody. And I even mentioned I forgot the Obi Toppin dunk in the second quarter.
Yeah.
My God. But RJ Barrett dunk. The Knicks finally looking like they're getting it going. Creating defense, offense. And then Atlanta checks in Lou Williams and he just Sweet Lou, Lemon Pepper Lou. He just comes in, goes on a 7-0 run by himself to keep the Hawks in this game. When you thought the Knicks was about to go on and take over, kept the Hawks in this game. And this was just back and forth in that fourth quarter. The Knicks could not get away from the Hawks no matter how much they got because they had to lead, but they could not get away. And that was due to Trae Young. And I mean, the Hawks running the damn same play it was a screen, and he would cut, and he would draw a flower, he'll be a floater. As a Knicks fan, it was pissing me off. But I mean, it was every time it was just Trae Young doing that.
Yeah.
And then Bogdanovich kept him in the game with big shots.
Hit that
and
big
the Knicks, yeah, but Alec Burks just kept responding. I mean, he was big time for this Knicks team. Big time. I mean, you can't say it enough. Also, didn't mention Derrick Rose.
I was about to say, you lost about Derrick Rose.
Yeah, Derrick Rose. Back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, he played great for the Knicks as well. And I mean, what?
And he had it from beginning till end, though. Like, he had the hot hand from beginning till end.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Along with Alec Burks as well.
Yeah.
And this game came down to the wire, as you would expect this game would. Alec Burks just kept hitting shots, but the Hawks always stayed within it, and they were down by 3. And Bogdanovich hits a big corner 3 to tie the game.
Yeah.
Big corner 3 to tie the game. And then the Hawks, Trae Young gets sent to the free throw line. He makes both.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks are down by 2. Also, offensive rebounding for the Knicks were key in this game as well.
Yeah.
And the Hawks tried to limit that, but they didn't do the best of jobs of doing that in certain moments. And that will cause the D Rose hitting the floater to tie the game.
Yeah.
And there's 9 seconds left. And then we all know who's the ball going to. They give it to Trae Young. Kyle Thibodeau sends in a defensive unit to try everything to try to trap him. He gets by the double team. I knew as soon as he got by the double team, I knew he's going to score. I knew he was going to score. And that's what he did. Got by the double team, got into the paint, floater, and it's good. 0.9 seconds left to get the go-ahead basket. And the Knicks have a chance, but it was a bad pass. I mean, I didn't really like the play that they did.
Yeah.
Alec Burks inbounding the ball, and he's the hottest guy on the floor. But then in the end, with that bucket by Trae Young, it was the Hawks stealing game 1 in the Garden, getting a 1-0 series lead against this Knicks team.
Yeah, man. Just like what you said, it Madison Square Garden was bumping. Like, you know, it was really bumping. It looked like it was like a rock star concert. Like, you know what I mean? It was going. But yeah, man, your Knicks, they fought. Just like what you said, they had that difficult start, but they fought hard. And again, you gotta acknowledge guys like Alec Burks and Derrick Rose, like, you know, igniting the energy into this team that they needed, along with the crowd. You know what I mean? Just hitting shots after shots. Derrick Rose turning back the clock on one of the layups. He did that, like, you know, that under
reverse, yeah,
that was beautiful. Like, you know what I mean? They just kept in it, and then, or you know, then RJ Barry, you talk about his dunk. He came up with some valuable moments in the game too.
RJ Barry was big too.
He was hustling, bustling, like, you know, he was doing all of that, and just again, these young guys. I know Obi Toppin didn't do much, but hey, he looked like he was energized from really quickly. And speaking of quickly, Emmanuel quickly. Oh my gosh, IQ. Hey, he might have 3 moves in his game, but hey, they're effective. There's no doubt.
That's why he scored on all floaters and 3-pointers.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, but and they fought hard, and it looked like they was going to take this game with the way that they came, especially in that third quarter. But as you said it, the Hawks kept in it. And their offense, you cannot doubt their offense. You talk about Gallinari, you talk about Bogdanovich, you talk about Trae Young, you talk about John Collins, like, you know, and I don't know about Clint Capella, but even though he don't do much, you know how effective he could be when they get him into the offense, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy because I was just like, huh. I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, Trae Young got to his spot.
Yeah, and the Knicks, they got to figure out a way to stop that, because it was the same. The Hawks were running the same play.
Yeah.
Just got top high screen and roll, Clint Capella. Gibson was basically stuck.
Exactly.
Because Trae Young can either lob it to Clint or go and get a floater.
Yeah.
And whoever was right behind him, he would stop and draw a foul.
Yeah.
So he's very crafty and smart in terms of getting to the hoop and knowing what to do.
Yeah. Is that good basketball?
I ain't gonna see what Steve Nash said.
But there's a person that you said you was gonna get into a moment that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now since you gave your analysis. I just want to give credit to the Hawks because they play great basketball. We mentioned all these players, yet we haven't said one word about a certain player, and that's the best player on the Knicks. And that's Julius Randle. First playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been in the playoffs before,
Mm-hmm.
and this was not a good start. There's a reason why we didn't mention him because he didn't really do as much as we used to him doing.
Yeah.
He was really struggling. He was really, really struggling. Now, credit to the Hawks defense because you got to give them credit. The way they play, they always had the tension on him.
Yeah. Which is understandable. Yeah. That's the best player on the opposite team that they're going against.
All the guys that they had on him, whether it was Hunter, whether it was Collins, whether it was Capella, whether it was whoever.
Yeah.
They all did a fantastic job. Yeah. Sometimes they would trap him, sometimes give him more attention. So you got to give the credit to Nate McMillan's defensive scheme and the way to stop Randle. But also some of the shots that he shot are some shots that he usually makes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was some open looks, it was some open threes, it was an open good jump shots, good post up shots. I mean, it wasn't going down. I don't know what happened. And yes, the Knicks had like 60 bench points and the bench played excellent. But in a playoff game, when you have that man who is killing you, and he's their star player, a playoff game, you need your star player to step up along with the role players. Now, if he's having a bad game in the beginning, but then he steps up late when you need him to, okay, it's understandable. But you gotta need him. And the Knicks needed him. And when you don't have your star player playing at a great level or not showing up, not playing well, you are not going to win. It's rare that you're going to win. It's amazing if the Knicks even stayed in this game. That he was playing so bad.
It's crazy how you say that because it alludes to it. The fact that he had a bad game and the Knicks still stuck it in. Still stuck into it, and even had a lead at one point. Go show you. Imagine if all of that happened and Randle had a good game. It's like a chance we wouldn't even be talking about Trae Young's game clinching dagger to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be talking about that. It'd probably be a different story. But hey, just like what you said, these are the playoffs. These are where the best players show out and separate themselves to show who's the good players from the great players and whatsoever, this, that, and the third. And the best players have to go at each other. No matter if the positions are different, the best players have to show up. They have to go at each other. And unfortunately, it just wasn't a good day in the office for Julius Randle. You know what I mean? He just didn't have that best of a game. And I could respect it a little bit because, just like what you said, he took shots that he usually always used to taking and making. Sometimes he's going to have games in which they just don't come through, and they don't come through at the worst moments of time. Sometimes it be like that, but he just has to get better. He has to get it better in the next game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it was nerves, maybe he just had a bad game. Maybe it was the Hawks defense that got to him,
Yeah.
But the Knicks want to win the series, he has to play well. Otherwise, it's bye-bye.
Yeah.
But your credit to the Hawks team for stepping up and coming into the Garden in this hostile environment. Give credit to Trae Young, shut out the noise, and played his basketball, and he balled out.
Yeah.
And he finished with the game-winning bucket to silence the crowd and give the Hawks a 1-0 series lead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of games. 3 other games go on. Which one should we go to next?
Let's go to the last one. The last one that happened.
Let's go to the last one then. The 8th seed Memphis Grizzlies going to Utah to battle the number 1 seeded Utah Jazz. And unfortunately, thought Donovan Mitchell would be playing in this game. But it was announced the day of yesterday that he was going to sit out for this game. Hopefully he will be back for game 2. Because as you see, they need him. Surprise. But it didn't look like that from the get-go because the Jazz got it in that first quarter. They got out to an early start. They was the ones kind of pushing that pace. They was the ones with intensity feeding off the Utah fans, and they was big time as well. They was jumping, you know. And the second quarter hit. And remember you said, so I don't know what when we was talking about Grizzlies I started playing, he was like, I don't know what Dylan Brooks can do, you know. We're seeing what he can do. He has been big time for 3 games straight. In must-win situations. Saw what he did against San Antonio, shutting down DeRozan, along with getting his buckets on the offensive side when they needed to. Saw what he did in Golden State. Big time for them. Helping out on Curry, containing him the best that he can, along with putting up buckets. And now in Utah, game 1, to set the tone, he was big time. He was big time again. 31. With a great performance by him. Also, Ja, the star of the team. Best player on the floor. Ja Morant also showing up, proving that he's like a 10-year vet. Really, a 10-year vet in a 2-year pro body. I swear. The way he plays, it's unnatural. So mature. He's a great player. And again with a great performance in a big game. And it was a great performance by them in that second quarter.
Exactly.
And then also continuing the third quarter, but continuing that third quarter and in that fourth quarter, in which they got out to a big run. I mean, you got to give credit to Ja, Dylan, Desmond Bane, and all these guys. I mean, also Jonas Valanciunas and Rudy Gobert. They was battling. Both of them having big games. Both of them very important to their teams.
Yeah.
I mean, battling so hard, they both got in foul trouble.
Exactly.
Both of them had 5 fouls like midway through the fourth.
Yeah.
Which eventually got Rudy Gobert fouled out, which hurt.
Yeah.
The Jazz. And also Jaren Jackson Jr. The blocking in the 3 and the Grizzlies up by 15.
Yeah.
About 5:30 left. But then this Jazz team, me and you both know, we talked about it. They never give up. They never give up, no matter what, no matter feet, no matter how much time is left in the game, no matter what the deficit is. They want to fight, and they fought.
Yeah. Thank you, Bogdanovich.
Bogdanovich, boy, Bojan. Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
With a great performance to help this Jazz team get back into this game. I mean, he was doing it all offensively for them because they needed it. They really did. I mean, they needed him. They needed some offensive players. Also, Derek Favors was big time for them.
Yeah.
Getting rebounds, playing great defense, getting putbacks and dunks. I mean, they needed that energy.
Yes.
They needed all that. They needed Mike Conley to be the facilitator and try his best to create the offense.
Yeah.
And eventually they got back in this game. Back in this game from all of what I just talked about. And they eventually found themselves, I want to say, down by 3. Yeah, I think down by 3.
Yeah, they were down by 3. Yes, they were down by 3.
And then Dylan Brooks. Kyle Anderson fouls Bogdanovich smartly. They make both free throws. Dylan Brooks gets a wide open layup.
Yeah.
And there's 4 seconds left. And Bogdanovich takes a tough 3-pointer on Kyle Anderson. and he misses. And as a result, is the 8th seed. Surprise, with the upset win in game 1 to beat the Utah Jazz.
Well, I gotta respect you because you did choose them. I do remember you did choose them last episode, and I gotta respect the fact that you went with them, and they did show up big time. Again, you talk about this underdog mentality. The Grizzlies, outside of themselves, nobody expected. Outside of themselves and a few people like yourself, like nobody really, truly, honestly expected them to be here. Young team on the rise, like grit and grind. They have all that mentality, all that heart, but nobody expected them to truly and honestly be here. And I do got to give respect. I don't know his name, but I got to give respect to his their coach,
Taylor Jenkins.
Yes, man. I don't know what he has done to this team, but man, he has done something great because the way that this team is playing, they're playing the Memphis basketball way, but yet they're always constantly having to prove themselves, and they always exceeding expectations with this situation here, and that's all because of his ability to trust in his players, of course, which is supposed to always be with a coach-player relationship. But yeah, the Memphis, they came in, they knew they were underdogs, they were not at home, they were away on the road, and they stuck to their game plan. They stuck to their game plan defensively and offensively. And you want to talk about coming up big. Ja Morant coming up with big buckets down the stretch, just kept getting into the paint, finishing, or finding ways to get others involved. You talk about Dylan Brooks, big time shots, or having a big game in general. Like, they just keep doing what they have to do. Jonas Valanciunas, our old school big man, working down low. You know what I mean? Jaren Jackson contributed well, especially still trying to get his rhythm since coming back from that injury. Don't forget, way back. Just things like that. But yet, again, just like what you said, the Jazz, though, you can't give up on those Jazz teams because they're tough, they're built different, and they're ready for any kind of smoke. And even though they did need Donovan Mitchell big time, because when your big man get into foul trouble, who's the second best player on your team, that's a problem. But you alluded to Bogdanovich and how he had a big game. Most of those points came in the second half. Just clutch bucket after clutch bucket after clutch bucket, keeping this team afloat. And this is what we were talking about when they were in the playoffs last year, because they missed him in the playoffs last year. His scoring, his spark, his shooting could really did some dust, and it shows in this game. It's just that they don't have Mitchell, so it's like it's kind of tough. But
yeah,
outside of that, man, I feel like Memphis Grizzlies, you view this as an opportunity to take advantage, and that's what they did, and they was able to pull out a win.
Yep. Also got to give a shout out to Kyle Anderson, who played great ball. Slow-mo, playing at his own pace, creating havoc. I mean, he was great on both sides of the ball. He had, I think, like six steals. Yeah, 6 steals in the game. And he was also playing smart basketball. I mentioned the Bogdanovich foul and also the contest that he had late in the game.
Yeah.
He's just a all-around player, and he's key to this Memphis Grizzlies team.
Exactly. It's crazy because on one of the steals, Reggie Miller said that's the slowest fast break he ever seen.
Hey, slow-mo. He plays at his own pace,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the way he plays. And this Grizzlies team, man, surprise, surprise, surprise.
Exactly.
Taking the game 1 away from the Utah Jazz, up 1-0. Let's go down to Arizona. The 2nd seed, them boys in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns battling the 7th seed, defending champions, Los Angeles Lakers. And from the get-go, though, Suns, you can feel the energy. These Suns fans been waiting longer than Knicks fans. 10 years. 10 years to be in this position. Yep. Not only are they in this position, they are in a great position.
Yes.
They have a chance. And you can feel that in the air. It was in the air. The fans were excited. The players were excited. From the get-go, the Suns just had it.
Yeah.
The Suns just had energy, the intensity. It was hustling. It was getting it. Devin Booker, CP3, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton. We gotta get to him in a minute. But and they got it, took a little bit, and then Chris Paul got hurt in that first quarter, right?
Yeah.
Chris Paul got hurt in that first quarter, got his shoulder contusion. He left. He eventually came back, but you can tell he was not the same.
Yeah, it didn't look right. It didn't look right. Like, you
Like
know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, go on.
His dribbling, he was just losing the ball every.
Yeah, turnovers.
He was just losing control of the ball. This is Chris Paul we talking about.
Exactly.
That doesn't just happen. And I'm talking about he had the ball dribbled and then just lost.
Yeah.
You could tell something wasn't right.
Yeah.
I really hope that he's fine. It seems like he can't catch a break, but I hope it's not anything. I think he's going to play for game 2, but in terms of, I hope it's not inflicting enough on his game, because you can see that it was affecting his game.
Exactly, and it go for both ways. This is you hope and pray for the best, because this is a bad luck in terms of this Suns team that has got him and, like, you know, has been on this run ever since, and, like, you know, that is something that you just do not want to see, especially from a team that just made the playoffs after coming off of a straight season of not making it and being a young team. That's something that you just don't want to see. Your best leader going down like that, and, like, you know what I mean? Because luckily they didn't lose confidence, of course, but that could really be a kind of shocking. That could be a shocking moment that could change the course, if you might say, seeing something like that. And for CP3, it's just like whenever a situation like this happens, in which, like, something great is going on for him, like something small, something bad just got to go wrong. God forbid, something got to go wrong.
Yeah,
and just like we said, he cannot catch a break.
And
he didn't look his usual self, uncharacterized, something that we don't usually see.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully he gets better soon.
Yeah,
and it doesn't affect his game in game 2 and for the rest of the series. Because the Suns, they're gonna need him. And I know he wants to be on that court too.
Yeah.
But as for the Lakers, I mean, they still there. They maintaining their position. You want to talk about Dennis Schroeder? You want to talk about Caruso, Montrezl Harrell? Oh yeah, LeBron James.
Don't want to talk about, though.
We're gonna get to him in a minute. But the Suns, I mean, they was just here. This was their game. I mean, you could tell. Devin Booker, I mean, this is his first playoff game. But you didn't notice that, though. The same way with Trae Young. He's playing against the Knicks. You didn't notice that.
Yeah.
You didn't notice this one. Devin Booker, he was ready. He was ready for this spotlight. And the Lakers, they knew that. They wanted to give him attention. The Lakers are the best defensive team in the league. Yeah. They gave him his attention. They wanted to trap him. They wanted to double team him. He's just too nice. The Suns team is just too good.
Yeah.
You know, so they might have to think of another strategy. In the second half, Cameron Payne was big time for them.
Yeah.
He was finally getting going, even though he got ejected eventually. But Cam Johnson was good.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Ayton. Let's talk about DeAndre Ayton. Not only was he a beast offensively, he was putting up buckets, he was hustling, he was getting the boards, big time rebound after big time rebound. He was playing great offensively. He did a great job on Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
He won that battle on Anthony Davis.
Which is highly shocking.
It was not close. It was not close. That, to me, was the main key into why the Suns won this game.
Mm-hmm.
That Anthony Davis was cold and Ayton was just out rebounding him. He was scoring on him, and he was contesting his shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta give the credit to the Suns team. And even though the Lakers kind of had those chances in the fourth,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was Caruso missed the 3,
yeah.
Anthony Davis missed the 3. LeBron missed the three, and that's back-to-back possessions.
Yeah.
You got to hit those shots if you want to stay within this game, especially on the road. The
Exactly.
crowd feeds off of every miss,
Yeah.
especially when you're down. So, Lakers had a chance, but with those misses and the way the Suns played, got to give the credit to the Suns as they take the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, man. Well, again, home court advantage. A young team looking to get sparked up, energized against this team with championship DNA. And they came down, they showed out again. Devin Booker, a superstar, scoring that bucket like he was Kobe, scoring those buckets like he was Kobe. That is his mentor. So you gotta respect that. But the way he was going, man, first playoff game to have an outing like that, that's beautiful to watch. And just like we say, Chris Paul might have went out, but he came back, and even though he didn't look like his usual self, of course, something was wrong. Hey, seeing things like that, like when your team sees your best leader come back like that, it puts back that energy into them. Just like how I said, you see their leader go out, it drains them a little bit, but then you see their leader come back in fighting. Playing with that heart, that mentality, it eventually brings all the energy back to them. And that's what they did, just like what you said, all around game from everyone. But yes, specifically DeAndre Ayton. Now, this is the potential that we like to see. This is the potential that we always raved about, that we always talked about, that we see time and time again. And you know what I mean? We know he's still finding his fitting on a team as a big, because even though he not a stretch in which he could stretch out his game that much. It goes from mid-range to the paint. But just beasting. And he outplayed Anthony Davis. You can't, not many centers could do that. Probably 2-3, that's it. Not many centers could do that. And he outplayed Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
You got to give him a lot of love and credit for that.
Gotta give him a lot of love and credit. And this was a big win. And like we said, Chris Paul couldn't really play well, yet they stuck with it, and they was able to take this win, one game against the defending champions, of 1-0.
Yeah.
And lastly, those boys in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia 76ers battling the 8th seed, Washington Wizards. Now, this was very close.
Yes, this was.
This was back and forth. As you would expect, the Wizards are a high explosive offense.
Yeah.
I mean, they do got Bradley Beal, they do got a lot of shooters. And so this was back and forth from the get-go. Embiid got into foul trouble a little bit in the first half, so he couldn't really be as effective. But why was it so back and forth if Embiid wasn't effective and wasn't really in the game because of foul trouble? Tobias Harris. 28 points in the first half. He was balling. Every time he touched the ball, you knew he was going to shoot and he was going to make it.
Yeah.
He was playing lights out. And this is a man that has been criticized past 2 years from the way he's played in the playoffs. Also for the money, the contract he's gotten, saying that he hasn't lived up to it yet. And this year in the regular season, he's been great. And he comes out game one, the first half, saying, Embiid, don't worry, I got this. And he just balls out. That's what I love to see. I love to see him watch. I love to see him get into a spot and get into rhythm. And nobody could really guard. He was unstoppable in that first half. And then in the third quarter, Steph Curry's not in the playoffs, but Seth is. And boy, did Seth Curry go off. Back in the playoffs again, he's had some good playoff campaigns. Last year with the Mavs, he played well. And 2 years ago with the Trailblazers, when they went to the Western Conference Finals, he played really well.
Yeah.
So now he's back, and he continued that. I mean, he's Curry.
Well, wait. When you could shoot that shot like that, like a Curry, then of course. Of course, big time moments like that is gonna happen for you. You know what I mean. Steph Curry had it going. He had it going. It looked like he couldn't. He shooting honestly. You know how that old saying, like, you know how certain shooters, they just got that effect in which they feel like as if the rim is this wide open.
Yep.
That what I was saying, he felt like the rim was like wide open, like it was just like easy. Like Sunday, like I said Sunday, like the bank was wide open. The bank was wide open for him. He could rob it. He could steal. He could do whatever. He could be a thief. He was just getting buckets, man. Just cashing in, cashing out, withdrawal, depositing, doing whatever he wanted to, and he had it going. He had it going, and
Yep.
you could see Philadelphia fed off of that. They just fed off of it, and
In that third quarter, it was big for them.
Exactly. You talked about it before. Tobias Harris had the first half. Steph Curry had the second half. Basically put it like that.
Yep. As for the Wizards, though, they stayed within it.
Yes.
I mean, talking about guys like Daniel Gafford, Robin Lopez was just getting hook shot after hook shot. Davis Bertans, big for them. Bradley Beal, of course, you know, he's no stranger to the playoffs. He's been here before.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was a bucket for them. He was their best player. However, Westbrook wasn't the Westbrook that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
He was struggling here and there. He was a little bit off and on. He had some wild bank shot attempts. Just like, but anyway, he was a little bit inconsistent, and I really wanted him to be aggressive attack and really be able to finish, but he couldn't really do that.
Yeah.
But you can give credit to the Suns, the Sixers,
their defense,
and the way their defense, they made sure that he wasn't able to get into his spots. And when he did, there was guys there, and he was just able to miss.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. If the Wizards want to even have a chance, look, it's crazy how he had that kind of a game, and yet, like, you know, they lost, but they didn't lose by a crazy amount. You know what I mean? It was still like, you know, a close game. If the Wizards want to have a chance to stick with Philadelphia for this series going on, he has to play at that elite level, like we saw him playing when he had all those triple doubles. He has to. I'm not saying he has to have a triple double, but, you know, like, you know, they do say when he gets a triple double, they most likely win. But this is the playoffs we're talking about. Things can be different.
Well, he didn't have a triple double, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, I see your point. And also, he had some costly turnovers in that fourth quarter too.
Yeah,
when he turned the ball over, and then in that fourth quarter, Embiid said, "Okay." Embiid. I mean, they were trying to send double teams late. Embiid was just not.
I'll take you. I'm good.
Beast, absolute beast. Embiid. I mean, like I said, if he didn't get hurt and didn't miss those games, he would have been my MVP.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have that, he's playing at an MVP level, and you have nobody there to stop him.
Exactly.
Even when you try to send a double team, you can't stop him.
Exactly.
That's how good he is. That's how good he's been playing this year. And do you see? I don't know if you know this, because Westbrook, they had a chance. They were down by 6, I believe. Or no, they were down by 5. They got a big stop. There was like 30 seconds left.
He turned it over?
Yes, he stepped on the out of bounds line. But all he had to do was just pass it. Just pass it.
Yeah.
Instead, he wanted to save it and not pass it and then dribble. And then he stepped. His back heel stepped on. It was very close, but stepped right on the cross. But just pass it. Why are you trying to balance yourself and then trying to dribble? That was very upsetting to watch. It just made no sense. Just pass it and give it right back to you.
Yeah.
That could have been key. I'm down by 5. There's 37 seconds left. Y'all get a bucket. There's one possession game. Get a stop. Who knows?
Exactly.
I've seen wilder things. So I didn't understand that.
Yeah, just a mental. I don't know. I don't even know if it was a mental error. If you could even say that, you just gotta be more wiser with your awareness, though, right there. And this is Westbrook we talking about. He's not, even though he has been questionable about the certain things that he does in certain moments of the game, like clutch moments, like, you know, we don't question his awareness because his awareness is always spot on at times or most of the time. So for
Yeah,
him
of
to
course.
make that kind of mistake is kind of
Yeah.
yikes, but
hmm But yeah. It was that mistake, and then the Sixers was able to close it out, and as a result, Sixers take game one. Got to give a shout out to the Sixers team. Role players like Steph Curry, Danny Green, also George Hill coming off the bench. You know those vets, playoff time, they love it.
yeah,
It's easier for them, especially that it shows their IQ, understanding of the game. And they could be big time. George Hill was one of them going off the bench, the
yeah,
11 points for this team. So
yeah.
yeah, job by the Sixers, getting this win, making a statement. Up 1-0 against the Wizards. But, all right, all right, all right. That's all the game ones for now. So let's go on to tonight's set of games, starting with game two. First off, 7:30 TNT, the sixth seed Miami Heat against the Milwaukee Bucks, coming off of that game winner by Chris Middleton 2 nights ago. Who do you have?
Yeah, this is tough because it could go either way. Well, any game could go either way, but this one, like the way it happened last time, it's kind of tough because, like, the Bucks are probably still energized from that game winner from Chris, and the Heat is just like, we had a struggling game. Our best player had a struggling. Our two best players had a struggling game, and yet we only lost by that much. We got this in the bag. They probably saying, but I got to go with the Heat with this one.
I'm gonna go with the Heat. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I think they take a 2-0 series lead in this game. Yeah. All right. Game two. Right after that, 10 o'clock TNT. The Portland Trailblazers going back to my city game two against the Denver Nuggets.
Nuggets, they had to make some adjustments.
I agree. I got the Nuggets as well.
Yeah.
Let's see if Jokic can try to get his teammates involved. I mean, Trailblazers last time did a good job of him just saying, "Hey, you gonna score," but when you kill us the most is when you're able to get the team involved and you score.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll see if they can do that for tonight's game. But all right, I think it's time to wrap things up. Just a quick note, real quick. I want to talk about the Jazz Grizzlies game. Point I left out. The Jazz missed a lot of 3-pointers.
Yes,
Like
they did.
a lot. If I go back to the game and check how many exactly they missed, I mean, they were 12 for 47.
Yeah.
That's 25%. They were terrible from deep. Terrible.
I
mean, they're a great 3-point shooting team.
Exactly. That is not there. That is not what they're made about when it comes to the 3-point line. They're always a great 3-point team. They always kill their opponents like that.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to mention. Maybe if they made some more, they could have beat this Grizzlies team. But live by the three, die by the three.
Yep.
Rockets know best. 29 straight 3-pointers missed.
James Harden know best too.
Yep. Chris Paul hurt by that. But
exactly.
Yeah, that's just the point I wanted to make. Besides that, in terms of the playoffs, an amazing start. I've been loving every game, every single game. Every single game has been close.
Yeah.
It feels like the teams that have lost, they could have won. Could have been either way. Give or take a few more possessions, a few more big stops, a few more shots made. I mean, it's been a tremendous playoff series. I mean, we had a split between the home and road winners.
Yeah.
We've had 2-game winners in terms of Chris Middleton and Trae Young. I mean, crowds back, energy, the atmosphere. And it's only been game one. It's only been game one. That's what's so exciting about it. It's only been game one. And I've been loving every second of it.
Hey, man, this is the time of the playoffs. This is where things like that's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Close games. Probably not game winners, but close games happening. Close games occurring. Things happening. And, hey, within that, you're going to possibly get a game winner or a clutch bucket or a dagger, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really exciting. I hope everyone else is enjoying it.
Yeah.
enjoying it. And I hope these game twos and the rest of the first round in the playoffs just as exciting as the weekend's game ones. But that being said, thank you guys for watching today's podcast. Make sure to tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, give us feedback, support the channel, all that good stuff.
And also follow our IG and our TikTok down in the description below.
Yes, yes, yes. And once again, I'm Evan.
I'm Ja.
This is Minor Basketball Podcast.
Playoff edition.
Playoff edition.